Rajasthan, the largest state of India, is known for its magnificent Rajput palaces and monuments, vast stretch of deserts and mountains, exotic flora and fauna, and rich, unique cultural heritage. However, there are lesser known places and people in this region. The southern Rajasthan's Baswara tribal district and the Bhil tribals are one among them. The semi-arid Baswara district got its name from bas, meaning bamboos, which were once found in abundance in the forest. Bhils are the predominant tribe in contiguous tribal districts of western India. The name Bhil is believed to have been derived from the Dravidian word bilu, meaning bowman, as the tribe is renowned for its archery skill. Today, Bhil tribal identity shares historical experience of the loss of forest and land alienation.
When I was a child, this entire forest belonged to us. Our life revolved around forest for construction of houses, fuel wood, fodder and fruits. Most of us were atheists, and forests served as our communally protected sacred groves, which usually have a connotation of protecting the community. We used to have our own bylaws to manage the forest resources. Here once stood the best teak forest, but that was long time ago.
Well, when we talk of Indian forests,
When we talk of forest, we have to go back nearly 150 years ago. Bhil tribals are Adivasis, a term now stripped of its literal meaning of original inhabitants. In early 19th century, British colonial rule began to nationalize forest. The wild and wandering Bhils were disciplined to do settled agriculture. As forest forms of subsistence were made unviable, many were indeed forced to settle in well-defined villages and cultivate in less than half hectare of degraded land with bullock-drawn plows. Our traditional oral forest rights were not recognized by the British government. Forest department conducted survey, made maps and demarcated the area. Boundaries were created to separate forest and villages. One forest was divided among different villages. They told us Jher village will manage Jher's forest, Khutadalji village will manage Khutadalji's forest, and Bodabra village will manage Bodabra's forest. It became illegal to enter forest of another village. We were told timber belonged to the contractors of forest department and we had no rights.
50 years ago, all that was left was this degraded forest land. Even tendu leaves were sold to the contractors by the forest department. We were given some privileges to use fodder and fuel wood. We lost our traditional access to forest resources. My cattle and goats were not allowed to graze in this land. Even my forefather's house was considered illegal because it was inside the forest area.
The erosion of livelihoods that followed forest demarcation had, by the 20th century, generated its own long history of Bhil uprisings. After India's independence, the biggest blow came with the effect of the Forest Conservation Act in 1980s that categorized tribal families living inside forest area as encroachers. The Bhil people's livelihood was affected and they began to migrate to neighboring cities in search of labor work. In an attempt to rectify the problem, Joint Forest Management, or in short, JFM program was introduced in 1990s. JFM committees were formed involving local communities to protect and regenerate degraded forest in exchange of some privileges over forest produce.
दक्षिण राजस्थान के अंदर देखा कि जापान के सहयोग से
In South Rajasthan, due to funding from Japanese government, JFM program got strengthened. In many places, tribal people collectively managed the forest with the forest department. There are few cases where tribal did not receive what they had expected from JFM. The JFM executive committee had active tribal women members. Some villagers agreed to protect the forest, while others continued with the local customary institutions to have more access to forest resources. Some of our forest was regenerated.
I was executive member of the JFM committee some 10 years ago. We would patrol the forest and collected fines from men and women whose cattle grazed inside forest. Buffaloes goes wherever they see good grass. Even I paid ₹100 for each buffalo to release from the JFM committee. Our JFM committee earned lots of money, but nobody showed us the account.
Conflicts occurs when neighboring villagers protect their own forest land and come to our land to collect forest produce. What is the meaning of JFM program? We end up fighting among ourselves.
When government funding stopped, our JFM committee became defunct. Therefore, we had to revert back to our local customary bylaws for managing the forest and forest resources. One day I was told about the new government policy that would give Panchayat more power to manage the forest resources. But till date, Panchayat did not get any power.
The Panchayat's Extension to Scheduled Areas Act 1996 gives discretionary decision-making power to the elected village council known as Gram Panchayats. 14 years later, the actual devolution of power through this act has not yet been fully implemented in Rajasthan.
I am Sarpanch of 5 villages of Lankai Gram Panchayat. Whenever required, I hold Gram Sabhas for sharing information. But I need more power to make decisions. In earlier days, there were lions inside forest. Therefore, people were scared. Like lions, we need strong local government to ensure forest is managed.
The Forest Rights Act of 2006 could be considered as India's step towards the decentralized forest tenure reform. It attempts to undo historic injustice by recognizing traditional individual and collective forest rights.
जो एक्ट को मौके पर लागू करना है वो अभी तक
The government gave implementation of this new act to the Tribal Welfare Department and not to the Forest Department. Maybe because government thinks Forest Department will be biased and insensitive towards tribals' claim of forest land. However, for appropriate implementation of this act, there is need to educate and empower illiterate tribal people so that in future there is no more encroachment. Before Gram Panchayat election, Sarpanch made announcement that everybody should file for the individual forest land claim. He promised that as per the regulations of the new act, forest land will be given to all villagers, irrespective of whether they had claimed the land or not. After the election, Sarpanch told villagers, "Have you gone mad? Government will not give all this forest land to you. It was just election propaganda."
मेरा फार्म ही था तो मेरा फार्म नहीं लिया.
This is my individual land claim form. I have all proofs that are required as per the act. But the new village committee told me that my proof for land claim is not good enough. They suggested that I should pay money if I want to get my land title deeds.
वाली जमीन का हमने 7,000 रुपये दे के हमने फॉर्म
I took loan to pay 7,000 rupees to the new village forest committee to process my individual land claim. But I was told that I have to pay more money to get approval from the district level committee.
The forest department don't give us form to claim our collective forest rights. They told us the new Forest Rights Act does not recognize collective rights for the non-timber forest producers. We follow the orders of our seniors. I was not given any information about collective forest rights claim form. I distributed individual forest land claim forms.
Forest land is depleting due to individual land claim. One day we will not have any community forest land. If the forest department asks us for proof of our collective forest land rights, we don't have any proofs. It will be difficult to claim that this is our forest and that we have collective access rights to forest resources.
The new committee did not allow us to collect Jatrofa seeds from the forest. I fought with them and managed to collect jatofa seeds and sell it in the local market. The new act doesn't help us.
एक कोई भी आदमी
Tribal people are ready to pay money to get land title deeds. I have authority to monitor if the individual forest land claim is genuine. There were several hundred applications, but we only approved dozens of claims and forwarded it to district level committee.
यहाँ के ये वन सुरक्षा
I have attended meetings of new village committee. Collective rights of forest produce and forest land are never discussed in these meetings. Tribal people are not fully aware about the new Forest Rights Act. Therefore, they are at the losing end.
The government makes so many policies and rules about forest management. We are always seen as rule breakers and never involved in rule making. Tribal women's access to forest resources and our forest land rights is denied by everybody. We will continue to fight for our forest rights.